What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Archive, the series in which I'm going to go through my personal stash, an archive of books, whether it's wargame related or not, and pick one and share it with you all, like talk about it, things of that nature. Over the years of being, a nerd and into this hobby and whatnot, I've amassed a collection of books, and for one reason or another, I tend to keep them, and whether or not I even really enjoy them, I just tend to keep them because I like physical, tangible books on stuff. And a lot of these books, pretty much all these books you're looking at here in one way or another, has helped shape my personal tastes, thoughts, and ideas when it comes to collecting miniatures in this wargaming hobby, maybe as direct inspiration or just something in the back of my mind. So I thought it would be cool as I unpack these things to share them with you. So what I'm going to do in each ramble, I'm going to pick one book kind of haphazardly, and I'm gonna go sit down at the table with you, and we're gonna look through it. I'm gonna give a basic thought synopsis on it, share my opinions on it, break it down a little bit, maybe look inside of it a little, and just talk about it, whether it's a novel, a codex, or a tabletop RPG book or whatever. So some of these books I have multiples of for some reason, not really sure why. Other books I do not, and it's just going to be some fun. I thought it'd be cool to kind of get some insight, perhaps, and share my thoughts on stuff that I have in my small little personal collection here, and for you all to share your thoughts as well on what I'm looking at when it comes to the book in question. What you have? Do you have the same book? What are your thoughts on it? And things like that. So this should be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab one of these books, and I'll meet you at the table. Welcome to the table, and From the Archive 40K episode. Now, I do alternate back and forth. Last episode was Pogs, anybody remember that? And now we're checking out something 40K. This is Codex Orks. This is a old codex. I don't remember exactly its full age. I didn't own it when it first came out, but the date on the book on the back cover and everything is 1999. So definitely an old book, can sit in a bar no problem and get drinks. In any case, this is a really cool codex. The older codices are a lot of fun. They obviously are not useful for gaming right now, and they are not up to snuff that way. They are not your current rules, but the lore, the inspiration, the central kind of model collecting part that they have in these books are really, really cool. So I thought I'd share the Ork Codex because greenskins are getting attention now with stuff on the horizon, right? So let's check it out. The older books are laid out a little bit differently from the current books. It's a similar concept where things are in their self-contained spaces, but it's just different. So what we have here is kind of an introductory section. Then we go right into army list, rules and army list. From there we go into like a model showcase collecting, stuff of that nature. Then we go into things such as armory and special characters. I think it's special character first and then armory, but in any case, we go into those things, and then behind that is a bit of just pure lore, just as an FYI. So, older orc models galore here. Not bad for the infantry, really. It's not, the most amazing stuff out there, but their models were never really that bad, in my opinion. Their vehicles are rather plain, though. I mean, check out that little vehicle right here. It's rather basic, right? And you'll see a couple other examples, but as you'll quickly learn if you're not really up on the orc stuff, especially back in the day, it was encouraged to scratch build and convert, so we'll get there. Anyways, here's the intro section, and also you can tell the book is black and white. It has some colored sections, but it's not a full color codex like they are now. So the intro section is just a basic blur about the orcs and why collect an orc army. Some fluff and lore stuff is scattered throughout these books, kind of like it is in modern codices, only a bit more so here. Then we go into the Orc Army List section with the force organization chart right there, and we have the Orc special rules. From there we go into more special rule stuff and the armory. the armory here just lays out points. In the back by the special characters is where it spells out exactly what they do. So there's a bit of back and forth through this book to build a list circa this era, right? And it makes it a little bit cumbersome, but it's not anything dramatically bad or going to bar you from building a list. It just takes a bit longer to get it done because it's not self-contained in each entry. This is before the days of data sheets, so we have a little blurb of fluff for the war boss and the pain boss and stuff like that, and then it's just giving you stat lines and then telling you about them a little bit, particularly whatever special rules they may have and the options. So like I said, it'll say here for the pain boss they may be given any equipment allowed for mad docs from the Ork Armory. So then you go to the Ork Armory, you find a piece of equipment that they could take, you then go to the back of the book and you look up stuff in the armory section here, the war gear section here, to see exactly what it does and if that's worth taking for you, and then you make your list. So that's how that works. And then we have, of course, elites, SHQs, elites, troops, fast attack, and then heavy support. It's pretty standard stuff here. Nothing super stellar to say. Again, just typical thing of a little blurb plus their entry and then options, whatever else they might have. This is also back in the day of armor values. I miss having actual armor values on vehicles. They just feel like a vehicle when they have vehicle armor values, but that's just me. In any case, once you get through the army list section, which wasn't very many pages, mind you, but when you are doing upwards of 3 units a page, you don't need very many pages. So there's that, kind of a condensed style that this codex is laid out like. Then we have starting a WA, where to begin, HQ, troop choices. For standard missions, this is how it was back in the day. And it goes over collecting that. It goes over what's in the army, how to flesh it out and how to expand your army. And with these cool pictures, we also see some pretty bare bones truck right there and some scratch built terrain that definitely serves as inspiration for later Ork terrain and even stuff I feel like in the Dawn of War series for Orks. Anyway, moving on, we have some Ork tactics, because Orks have tactics. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. The tactic is to win, right? Smash the enemy. We go over some Ork tactics here, and on top of that, we get into actually collecting. What I like that the older books did that you don't really see in books nowadays is they go over painting your models. How to do the Ork skin, teeth, metal, dry brushing techniques. You go over how to paint the different Ork clans, not so much how to, but showcasing them. So you go, oh, okay, they are dark gray and black armor, these guys are yellow armored, and so on, right? We go over the freebooters and themed armies. They give a little blurb about themed armies, Ork glyphs and what they kind of mean to help you out for further fleshing out your force with the transfer sheets and whatever else. Painting the wheels, because you gotta paint vehicles up. Now look at how basic and bare bones that truck is, right? Am I saying this war truck is awful? No, although some people might hate it. But what we have now I think is definitely a better looking truck. But this is a great platform. I'll come back to that in a moment. So what's cool about painting the wheels here is it's showcasing vehicles. So it's also showcasing using, you know, spray cans to spray base things, applying transfers, glyph plates, gubbins, which is extra little stuff and details. And it just really is nice because back in the day these books were really self-contained to get you collecting and not just giving you the rules to play and getting you hyped. The Mechs Workshop is where we see a bunch of customization stuff here. And I say a bunch, but we see a couple of pages worth of converting vehicles, Ork strongholds, aka terrain building suggestions, painting tips for battle damage and war paint and painting checker marks, Ork conversions for your infantry. Because more so than any other force, Orks are really about converting. Back in the day, it was really kind of, you know, imparted upon you to do this stuff, so that's why it's in the book. And even nowadays, a big part of making orcs your own is looting those vehicles, right? And getting them to feel kind of scratch built, a little more ramshackle, add a bit more gubbins and MacGuffins on there. So it's cool to have it in the book right here to give you some little bit of examples and some inspiration for doing your own stuff. Big Tooth River. This is a cool display back from 1997 Games Day. And it's a whole bunch of orcs on some really cool built terrain with a scratch built Gargant here, a scratch built Squigoth, blowing up tank. I believe this is a armor cast tank, pre-forward rolled, I think. We also have just different pictures of all the orcs there. Up in here we see a Vindicare about to be overrun. And just settlement there, stronghold. And yeah, it's the huge orc fort basically. Up here, and then more stuff going down there. And a scratch built fighter bomber. They didn't have a model back then for it. What's cool about all this scratch built stuff is that it's showing you how you could maybe try and mimic this yourself because you got a picture of it. And when you think about Stampas and fighter bombers and even Squigoths from like Forward World, the overall shape or idea or concept hasn't really changed that much, which is kind of cool, I think, anyway. So, I just really like the Big Tooth River display here that they showcase in this book. We have a showcase of miniatures painted up by a Golden Demon painting competition people. And we see a customized looted rhino, and we see a scratch-built battle wagon. This was really encouraged back in the day, more so than it is now, although people still do it now, and it's still a big draw for orcs. Even though orcs have fantastic models now, people take those and then add to it, or just scratch build from the ground up their own properly proportioned sized battle wagon or whatever else, and it's a big draw for people who want to collect orcs. So after all of that, we get a little bit of lore about the orcs' physiology. Not so much physiology, but size from Grotz to War Boss. We get the war gear like I mentioned. And after war gear and some fluff therein, we get Warlord Gazgul Mag Uruk Thraka, right? Warlord Nazdrag, this is the special character section. Boss Zadstruck, Mad Dog Grotsnick, Boss Snickrot, and of course Wazdak Gutsmech. If you know orcs at all, these are some classic orc character names and classic orcs. We get a bit about orc tribes and hierarchy, kind of the real basics and the clan's characteristics of the Goths, Bad Moons, Blood Axes, Death Skulls, Snake Bites, and Evil Sons. And from there, this is my favorite section of this entire codex. 2 pages worth of a report, you could say, from like a Magos Biologus or whatever, on the orcs. We get spore dispersals. Remember, orcs are living fungus. Well, I shouldn't say living fungus. Fungus is alive. It's more semi-sentient fungus, you could say. So we have spore dispersal pattern. We have the orcs' DNA structure and a DNA strand showcase, and I like that they made it look really different and weird comparatively to standard human DNA. We have an orcoid cocoon kind of diagram here, how it works. So we see rock gives the fungus some shade, and then underneath there we have the orc embryo in its little sac here. Very almost Lord of the Rings-esque, you could say, you know, from those movies when we saw some Uruk-hai being born or whatever. And then we see the orc's diagram of an orc skull right here. And we get information about the orcoids and how it's really hard to detect them because the fungus looks like a common patch of fungus. It doesn't look anything special to really give you an alert that there's an orc under your feet. It also goes over how the orcs are genetically programmed in their genetics to have the information. So, you know, mad dogs are predisposed from genetics up to be mad dogs. Same thing for big mechs and so on and so forth, which is kind of interesting and neat. So I really like these 2 pages of lore right here. And then we just get some more lore, of course, more fluff to read, and we get a nice little map here of a bunch of different orc attacks going on, right? And the back cover, of course. They are the most barbaric of alien races, the orcs. So that's the old Orks Codex. Lots of fun to read. I love it. I bought this years and years ago, but not when it first came out. It's probably not going to be the easiest thing to find now. And I always bring this up for stuff like this because they are fun to collect. I like collecting books like this myself. But don't get caught up in the heat of the moment and overpay. I don't know what would be a fair price, but people often mistakenly think old equals an expensive book, and that's not necessarily the case. So just be patient, be careful, don't just bite at it if the price seems a bit weird. Nevertheless, if you do end up finding a copy for yourself and purchasing it, it's really just for the collecting sake because you're not building a list out of this in 9th edition or anything. So there is that. In any case, really a fun book to read through for sure. So thanks so much for sticking through it. This has been a lot of fun. I have thumbed through this book quite a lot, and I'll probably do so again just to get refamiliarized with these 2 pages because they are a fun read. And yeah, thanks so much for sticking through it. Do you own a copy of this Ork Codex, and are you an Ork player? Share it in the comment section down below. Anyways, that's it. So until the next one, which will be non-40k related, thanks for stopping by. Take it easy.